thanks for coming on to the podcast to speak with us.
Yeah.
My name is William, and it's my co-host
Mac.
Mac, and your name is Ryan, right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, certainly. Hello. My name is Ryan. تعيش Ryan Edison Nisha, touching Nisha, Batani Bashichin, Torchini Dashanella, Seth Labitha, Dashanella. Originally from Salma, Arizona, but currently reside in Chinle, Arizona, just because my wife took a job out there. But I still work in Fort Defiance. My kids still go to school in Fort Defiance, so that's where we were originally from. My wife did work for the district for a while, but then again, she's been with Chinle for about the last 2 years now. So me and my daughter, we commute back and forth pretty much every day.
Mm-hmm.
Try to take different routes pretty much every day.
I don't
Try to
think
make it easy.
I don't think people know how far of a distance that is either, too. Right?
Yeah,
Like,
it's quite of a distance. So it's like 70 miles one way. So
wow.
that's 140 miles. A lot of miles, wear and tear on your vehicle, but I don't mind it. People always ask me like pretty much how the drive is and is it tiring, but I always tell them like it's pretty easy as you progress and kind of just it's kind of I guess you could say a lot of thinking that you can pretty much do to yourself when you're driving.
Mhm.
And I do it for my kids because we always wanted them to go to Winderock, so that's why I keep her at Winderock.
Yeah.
People are like, why didn't she go to Chinle? Like, sorry, but yeah, she's gonna be a scout.
What's the basketball culture like in Winderock?
Oh, that's big. It's huge. I think that's pretty much everyone knows. Pretty much on the reservation that Arizona basketball is like the biggest sport. Pretty much everyone looks forward to every fall. High school, not much of the middle school side yet, or middle school, but I know there were some talks this past last season, of the middle school girls. So there was a lot of talks, just who was coming up, who
Yep.
was going to be replacing who. But it's pretty huge, and as you've seen all of our stadiums, I think that's kind of one of the things that a lot of people talk about when you kind of go to different cities, states. They ask where you're from and where you come from. They don't understand how big of a sport it is for us,
Mhm.
which of course it's huge.
Yep.
Mhm. Wow. Yeah, being from Holbrook, I guess every North schools has basketball is a big part of their community, right? And we had an opportunity to see the Winderock Junior High girls last
Yeah.
year,
Here in town.
and they had a very impressive group there this past year. And were they all eighth graders?
No,
They were seventh graders.
you only had like what, maybe two eighth graders or so?
Yeah. So we only had out of the whole squad, I think we had four or five eighth graders, and the
Mhm.
rest are seventh graders. And I know during NIC we brought up a couple, two sixth graders that kind of just got the feel of
Mhm.
pretty much how NIC kind of is ran.
Mhm.
So yeah, so we have four waiting that are going to be coming, that we're going to wait for
Mhm.
from high school, because we have three already in high school now, so they're starting out there.
And you were assistant
year.
coach with that too, right? With the
Yeah.
middle school?
So I was a middle school coach. My first year, pretty much, kind of just volunteered, just to kind of help out, because the middle school don't really have. It's just the teachers that kind of take the role of head coach positions. No one kind of wants to take the role, just because there's a lot of politics and a lot of angry parents that if they see their kid that's really competitive and they want to win, it's a different story when parents start getting mad and start
Yeah.
asking questions. I think that's the part that kind of some coaches fear, is the communications with the parents. So I kind of took the volunteer way in. So kind of sit behind doors, kind of get the feel of who was coaching and kind of help out when needed.
Mm.
So that was a seventh grade when my daughter was a seventh grader. So I kind of helped out there. First year was a challenge, because we had some girls that needed development, and that's how my program and what my program's all about. is fundamentals, keeping it simple, keeping basketball simple. We don't want to make it hard. We don't want to teach them, the behind the back if they don't really know how to do behind the back between the legs yet. We want to build them up from the ground up, and that's kind of what my program's all about. So when we first started with the seventh graders, junior high, it was tough. It was rough because majority of the passes that were being passed were chest pass.
Yeah.
Steals lead to steals, turnovers lead to points. So just kind of letting them know that in situations, if we have 10 turnovers in the first half, just times that by 2, that's 20 points that you're giving to the opposing team. When we can eliminate them by just making simple passes, jump stops, bounce pass. So that's kind of what we taught our girls and the boys is bounce pass. That's like the easiest pass to make in basketball. Like I'm pretty sure that's how we're taught when we're growing up, like bounce pass, backboard, big square. It's a cheat sheet, like use it. It's there for a reason. So first year we ended up taking runner up, but I felt we were not supposed to make it that far just because there were some other competitive girls that were kind of seen as you play in these AA tournaments and kind of see them grow and develop and kind of get better. So you know who's who pretty much. So Tuba, I felt, should have been there. They should have been playing for championship. MV, they had a stack of girls, and no doubt they won. They ended up winning it, but no doubt they should have been there. So it should have been in the eyes of bystanders. If I was say a parent kind of looking in and just watching, it should have been MB and Tuba. But we kind of stuck in just right at the right point when we played them in the semis. We ended up winning by I think 10 or 11.
Oh yeah.
But I'm pretty sure you heard the name Layla Curtis. That's going to be a name that you're going to probably hear for the rest of the 4 years that high school basketball, Tuba City. But we ended up playing her team, and they should have won. But just kind of small things and kind of getting the girls the understanding of just make the simple things, simple passes, play defense, rebound, pass the ball. If we have less turnovers, we're most likely going to win this game. And that's how it went. It was a good game, all in all. Championship should have been a little bit different, but can't really make excuses, and that's not what we're about. So we just end up losing, taking the L, and the girls were surprised. We're happy with the result. And come the second season, I applied for the assistant coach, and that's where I got the assistant coach position. So I took a different role to help out our 6th and 7th graders. So kind of helping them kind of build that program because the lower classmen are pretty much going to be in 8th grade position soon. So you want to kind of focus on them to kind of show them the fundamentals because some of these 6th and 7th graders, they're not developed.
Yeah.
So you got to start from scratch. Got to pick ways that you can kind of pick their mind and brains of how to teach them and kind of understand them. And majority of them are more visual, visual learners. You got to tell them, got to show them. So again, taking those little small steps and those little things to kind of help them. That's pretty much what Winderock basketball was all about, was kind of focusing on them, because my girls, they started from scratch, getting blown out by 40, doing the hard way. Pretty much any team that comes into the sport, they're gonna get their butts kicked. That's only one way to pretty much show them that we can get better as a team, as an individual. You can get better. But it takes that butt kicking to kind of understand and kind of get the feel, especially when you have a coach that wants to dedicate their free time, because this.
That's what it takes.
We don't get paid to do this. It's mainly what the coach does is kind of pay for these entry fees, and they tell these players, let's go play this weekend, let's stay together. So that's how my program was a group of girls from my reservation, which of course Winderock, and then just adding who kind of fit and could play with us, added them to, because I seen potential, or I see them getting better with these group of girls. Chemistry. That's pretty much where it's all about. So going back to the story of, again, assistant coach, took it, and we end up winning. We end up winning again in IC, and we played here, Holbrook. I think I seen your podcast about the girls, and
Mhm.
just kind of get the girls' exposures as far as kind of develop develop them as players.
And
Yeah.
that was a very impressive group that came to
Yeah.
Holbrook.
Yeah.
But it took a long time. A
Uh-huh.
lot of people don't understand that. You know,
Okay, I kind of got the impression when I saw them that it was just a
Yeah.
natural talent to them, but
yeah,
explain that they had.
they don't understand that they come a long ways,
Uh-huh.
and they're very humble to be where they're at. And some might think that they're, cocky, or, they think they're the, SIHIT. But no, in reality, it just took a lot of work, a lot of parent involvement. I think that's where it kind of helped those girls individually, because, I can only dedicate so much of my time. But if you can kind of meet me halfway with, telling them to do their drills, to dribble, to shoot around, the little things that should be done at home, that's where we kind of got in agreement that it kind of worked on my program. Because I lived in Winderock, and gyms are hard to come by. It's really hard. Like ads and these schools, they want insurance, they want money to put down to rent a gym. And maybe for a 1 hour 2 hour session, it could run almost $200 if you just wanted just to rent out a gym. Possibly, I never asked, but somewhere around those boats, and you got to get your own insurance. And
Oh, I didn't realize it worked like
we
that.
don't
Yeah.
we don't charge, for these kids to come work with us. Like, if you want to put in work, show up, give you a time, give you a date. All you got to do is bring a ball and show up and just play. And that's pretty much how I think any program pretty much started. Group of kids from the area, and let's go play.
They got to be dedicated too. You guys be holding practice like 5 o'clock in the morning sometimes too, right? In weekends.
Yeah, so that's kind of one of the things that we're doing now, is we're wanting them to develop as players individually, because individually each player has their flaws and things that they can work on and things that they can get better on. But me, again, yeah, my family, my work. I want them to, of course, evolve in the sport of basketball. So it takes a couple of trainers to do that, and always very thankful when I reach out to close friends, like my best friend, Ephraim Sloan, when he's available or when he's having trainings, I'll reach out to him. Ryan Brown's another one as well. Brown Performance, I'll reach out to them when I'm in the Valley. So just a lot of networking, friends that you played with previously, and that's pretty much how it goes. And we just met a new guy in Albuquerque, Jamal Fenton. He played for New Mexico a while back. Has his own program in Albuquerque. It's FFA, so you can kind of look him up on Instagram. And that's where the majority of our girls go now to train, which of course is 5:30 in the morning. They'll have a breakfast club, 4:30 sometimes. But that breakfast club comes 5:30 to like 7:15, 7:30. They'll have another session in the evening. So they'll have two sessions within the day. So Sunday they'll have a morning session again, and then evening sessions, and
And this is done
on the
during
weekends.
On the weekends. Okay.
Off seasons,
Off
yes,
season.
they have off seasons. So, like what I was telling you earlier, like we're always on the go. We're always somewhere. I got to be somewhere. We're just talking about it on the way this way. Like, is it hard to stay home? Oh yeah, it's hard, and it's really hard, and especially becoming a fiend for the gym and just kind of seeing the girls that the amount of work they put in. Like it doesn't go unnoticed, and I always tell them that the work that you're doing, the amount of hours that you guys are putting in, you just got to believe in it. Like you're putting in work while others are probably sleeping. Like you're getting extra reps while people are actually dreaming about maybe becoming better one day, or thinking about something, and while they're sleeping, like you're up like at 4:30. And mind you, we stay in Albuquerque, but if not, then we'll leave in the morning. We'll leave, get up at 2, leave by 2:30.
Yeah.
Just enough time to get to Albuquerque by 5, and then from there, the trainers come in at 5:30, and they do their breakfast club. And once we're done, sometimes we'll stay the night, and we'll, you don't check until like 3 o'clock. So you still have like 7 to like 12.
Yep, you got time to
So
kill still.
by that time, in between like 7 to like 9, we'll just tell the girls to like go run,
Yeah.
get their miles in, 2 miles, 3 miles,
Uh,
just depending, because they're cross country runners as well. That's kind of
Mm.
one of the things that we're kind of taking competitive too, is cross country. So that's 3 of the sports that they pretty much play too as well. So
that's interesting. How, I guess if you look at it 30 years ago, it just seemed like, I don't know. I was a little kid then, but I'm imagining that the model back then was just doing the summer basketball, like the club ball that you guys do, and maybe doing some kind of camp or something. But today it's evolved to year round and getting some kind of special training, right? I remember the lady, I can't remember her name. She was on the state championship team. Was it Phoenix Christian? The 2A state champion,
Two-way.
or they won the small school open this year.
Who was that?
Well, anyways,
Not Miami?
there
Not
was
Miami?
2 girls, not Miami. It was from I
Oh
think
yeah,
Phoenix
okay,
Christian
yeah,
or something like
yeah.
that.
Yes.
There were 2 girls on there. They went Division 3. One got recruited to New York University, and the other I think got recruited to San Diego State or something like that.
oh, okay.
And they interviewed one of them after the game, and she was thanking her parents, and then she said was thanking her trainer, and she mentioned how like her and her trainer were always practicing all the time, and her parents had gotten her that to help develop her skills.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's definitely changed over the last 30 years to now it's requires a lot more specialization and a lot more fine tuning, as opposed to just, I guess the old days you just went out and just played, and
Yeah.
hopefully you got it and it improved, right?
Yeah.
I felt like it changed like more recently too. I think like the last maybe in like 5 years made me seem like
Yeah, basketball's changed a lot. I mean, if we could pretty much turn time, take my shoes, go back to high school, and that's kind of one of I tell my kids, my group of kids, is don't live with what ifs, because once high school is said and done, you're done with high school. You don't want to go back and say, what if I did this? What if I did training? What if I just woke up early at 5:30? Why did I just run? Don't live with those what ifs, because I think as coaches we've been through it, and that's kind of one thing I tell my kids, like, I've been through it, so I'm just kind of telling you what not to do, and kind of wondering how I would do it.
Mhm.
So that's why I push you so much, and that's why I'm so hard on you. And I think that's one thing about it too. Basketball is, we're brought up a different way. Hard basketball, tough love. Our parents would cuss at us. Our parents would whip us, and our parents would just grill us. But basketball now, it's a little soft. You gotta talk to them in a different way.
Yeah.
You gotta use your voice in a different way. But the parents that kind of, I think, been through it and understand it, there's a meaning and a purpose behind yelling, and screaming at a kid. It's a little different. They understand the purpose and why it's around it. And I was grew up with a great coach, Glenn Haven. He should have been my coach my whole 4 years, but politics and everything just kind of ruined it. But he should have been my coach the 4 years, and he had tough love, and they always said that if you're not getting yelled at, for small tedious things, then it's just constructive criticism.
Mm.
But where you should be really worried about is if when the coach is not yelling at you, that's when you should be really worried, because that's when you know that the coach don't really care. So it's a little different, and I kind of carry that into my teachings for the kids. And I always tell them, like, don't live with those what ifs, because it's gonna haunt you. And I think that's where basketball is now with these group of kids, that they kind of dwell on the past. And that's one thing I try not to do, but I give them a little scenario of what I would have done and why you're doing this. And I never, to tell you, I went to school at Winderock, played 4 years varsity, um, was one of the stars there for Winderock, but I never trained the way these kids are doing. Like, my group of kids, like, they're dedicating a lot of time to making their game right. And when you see these group of kids from the beginning, it's like in awe, like just seeing their craft now, the way they shoot, the way they jump stop, the way they make bounce passes, and just make the game easy. Before it was, like grab it, throw it, and it was a hot potato. Get rid of it fast. I
Mhm.
don't want to deal with it. I don't know how to dribble, but you got to learn how to dribble with both hands, and that's kind of where we're at now. Like footwork, you got to learn how to stop, use your left foot, left hand, because those situations and those games it comes useful. And I'm always thankful for these group of trainers that we found out in Albuquerque. I forgot Coach Howe too, but that's what they focus on. They focus on footwork, all the tedious things, and I'm pretty sure you guys are aware of Sydney Benali and
Mm.
Kaya Benali. That's their trainer.
Hmm.
That's pretty much where
Mhm.
they got their game from, is those two. They took them under the wing, and we've been with them for about a good year and a half now that
Mhm.
we've been training with them. Thankful for one of my parents, kind of training. She had a training in Albuquerque. Saw them. Took my daughter. Took her daughter. Drop in fee, and they saw that they needed a lot of work, just footwork. And they're the type to yell and kind of get mad at you because now players will pout heads, and that's one
Oh.
thing. There's and those drop their head, body language. That's one thing I tell them too, like body language, because when you fill up a whole stadium, especially Winderock, what's a 7,000 seater, and you fill that up and you drop your head, that's what fans are gonna remember. You hitting something, you hitting the bench, you hitting or getting mad at yourself, or you yelling at another player. That's what they're going to see.
Yeah.
Maybe you drop 30, 40 points, but they're going to go back to what they saw.
Mhm.
Those little things that can kind of be tweaked up in middle school and kind of fixed before they get to high school, because that's where it's almost like an interview.
Oh.
You're interviewing the freshman, the senior, to get into a college.
That's a good
JUCO
point.
and Division 1, Division 2, and so forth.
We went to the Holbrook Altusay game, and it was a great game. And when that fight broke out with the fans at the very end, um, I don't remember what happened in the game. All I remember is just that incident from that game. So you mentioned that one moment as opposed to everyone seeing your
It'll
performance.
highlight everything
Yeah.
else, man.
Yeah. So one of the things that I guess we always ask every guest is you mentioned the fundamentals, and it seems to like in today's game, there's been a huge focus on just shooting 3-pointers, and there's hardly any type of mid-range shots. And I guess if you look at every single North game, any high school game that featured the North, and maybe partially the East, I guess it was just an overemphasis on 3-pointers. And so I guess you got 3-pointers, and then you got layups and anything underneath the hoop, but nothing within the mid-range. I remember when we saw Snowflake versus Monument Valley the second time in the state championship or state playoffs. I remember seeing Monument Valley girls warming up, and they had the drill where they're shooting a little, I don't know, 5-10 foot jump shot, and every single person missed the shot until finally I think maybe the last person finally made it. But it just seemed like there's a lack of, they've been too focused on what they're sort of doing in the NBA or in the professional leagues. They're so focused on that they forget, and then granted, I guess the game has changed at that level too, and I guess that all culture brings its way down eventually, right? So going back to 30 years ago when you guys started, right? It was still about the fundamentals. Even in the NBA, it was give the ball to the big man, right? So that style of play was still gospel. But later on, around about 2008, 2010ish, is when it really started to change, and there was an emphasis on 3-pointers.
Yeah.
Is there, I guess, in your program, do you emphasize trying to have a complete game as opposed to just shooting 3-pointers and just layups, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, shooters are going to shoot,
Mhm.
and that's where we got to give them that confidence too, especially if we know that they can shoot. They can shoot the 3 ball. Of course, that's one thing we want to see from any child is shooters. because shooters are going to shoot. But back in the day, just like what you're saying, we're going to live and die by the three, and that's pretty much what every school kind of lived by back then. Was kind of, we're going to shoot the three, and if we're going to miss continuously 23s, back to back, like we're going to live and die by the three. Like that's one of our goals for as a team. But now I always let them know to take the higher percentage shot. If of course you miss 2 threes back to back, and you come open to a 3 point and someone's closing out, are you going to shoot that three the last two possessions, or are you going to find a different way to score? Drive baseline, or are you going to create a shot for your player? You're going to dribble, drive, kick out. At least if it's a zone, collapse the zone and kick out, swing the ball, and let's get some people some touches. That's where we can get the ball movement. But I always tell them to take the higher percentage shots, and I always show them on the board, especially if we're shooting horrible. No threes have gone in the last 5-6 possessions. They just scored opposite side. The last 5-6 possessions. Like, I'm gonna call that timeout and let them know, like, our threes aren't going in, so let's take a better percentage shot, like a higher percentage shot, and I'll show them and tell them, like, this is going to be a higher shot.
Mm-hmm.
Floater, layup, just like what you're saying, those are higher percentage shots. Like, you can't let those go. Like, kick out three if someone's wide open, yeah, but if somebody's closing out and you have the open lane, like, take the lane instead of kicking out. Like, that's 2 points that it's going to go on our side, and let's just play defense, get a stop. And especially, I think that's one thing that kind of I see too, is that teams that are down only 9 points, and there's like 2 minutes left, and they're like, oh dang, these 3 possessions, I'm gonna shoot a 3. Just take it little by little.
Yeah.
Get a 2-pointer, get a stop, play defense, get a rebound, figure out another way, make another 2. Now that's 4 points. Now you're only down 5 points. So it doesn't make sense to throw up threes and in the last 2 minutes. That's a lot of time. You just got to play defense on the other side. Like, take it step by step. Not only that, think next play. As far as if I make this shot, that's okay. Next play, let's play defense. Get a stop, get a rebound, box out, kick out, dribble down, middle. Just small things like that. But I think that's where a lot of people kind of rush it to, where they think 2 minutes it's going to go down pretty fast. So let me jack this 3 up and let's see if it goes in. I hope it goes in. If it goes in, hey, that's fine. That's part of basketball. Got to have luck sometimes, but take the easy route. And there's always going to be an easy route. Just got to know how to play basketball, basically. So take a little by little is what I always tell my kids.
Yeah. What about as far as like strategy? I know that was one of the biggest deficiencies that myself personally had, especially with football. Even as something as simple as knowing all the rules, do you ever explore any type of, I guess, theory or explanation as to, why are we going to play this team this way? Even to this day, I guess when I think about basketball, I guess it's still kind of a mystery to me exactly how you're going to fine tune your offense or your defense to the other team's offense and defense. And I guess there's always a reason why we're running this certain type of pattern. What are we trying to take advantage of? Things, trying to get the players to think more about the game strategically rather than, I guess, because I guess when you're learning, obviously just learning to play is important, but at some point you need to start transitioning and start thinking about the theory behind it and what is our goal. Why is my coach telling me to take these shots, or why are we trying to pass the ball or put ourselves in position, during this game and things like that. I guess. Is that something, or you're still transitioning, or?
No, we have goals as a team. Of course, just like what you're saying, when we first started out, it was just learning how to play basketball, learning 2-3 zone, and I think that's pretty much where everyone starts out, is 2-3 zone and 3-2 zone. Throwing a press, once you get the feel of once you see other teams press, that's where you kind of freeze up, and that's what we kind of had to go through as a team, is get that whooping before we could kind of actually compete with these kids, and that's where we kind of started buckling down on trying to beat the press. Let's throw in our press. Let's see what we can run. And we got to the point where we ran a 1-2-2 press. As we got a little better, we threw that in. Now, where we're at, since we kind of know how to play basketball on both ends, it's getting a little more competitive. Is and these coaches, they want to see man to man. So that's where our transitions kind of going into is kind of learn how to play man, because I think that's one thing that a lot of teams are going away from is man to man. And I think high school, just in general too. I only see a couple of
It's
teams
because of
play.
size too, huh? Like,
Yeah, size and just speed, and people don't know how to play, or maybe coaches don't know how to talk about help side defense, collapsing, things like that. Just small tedious things that could be implemented. But summer, I know that's where a lot of them do play man to man. Some coaches. So that's kind of where we're at now, is kind of teaching them how to play man to man, because I wanted them to learn how to play man to man. And when you go to Division One, when you go to JUCO, it's all man to man. So if you're still stuck in a 2-3 zone, or if you're still playing a 3-2 zone or 1-2-2, then it could get you overlooked. And when we first started this whole process, was we took it step by step. And as we got competitive, we wanna have an outcome with this program, for them to get noticed, to get seen, to go to the next level. I think
Yeah.
that's where we're at now.
that's the end goal.
That's the end goal.
Yep.
Yeah, and then
Make
the
it
end
out.
goal is state championship. And that's kind of what we're working, and what we're kind of dedicating our time to is we want a state championship. And I think that can go for any team and any player. They want that, but it's going to go down to who wants it more and who's putting in the work, and you'll kind of see that. And just like what you were saying when you came to see us, it was a lot of work. Come interview me 4 years ago, would have been a different story. I'm very humble as an individual, as a coach, as a player, because again, I played the game. But as a coach, I want them to get noticed, and I want them to play at the next level. I want to be that coach that's proud of them, as far as what kind of work they're putting in, and the type of work they're doing now. Like that, I'm just in awe, because, like I said,
No.
before me, I never did that. I never woke up 5:30 in the morning, ran. Grandparents would always say, "You run before the sun comes up," and here they are working out in the morning, doing 2-a-days, and I think that's where I enjoy myself now. I enjoy myself being in the gym. I enjoy seeing. I guess all in all, I have to be a father too. So see my daughter putting in the work, like she's the coach's daughter. That's the reason why I started this, was because of my daughter.
Everybody starts off with their kids first, man. Next,
They're
like
your favoritism, your daughter, but they don't understand how much work she puts in behind closed doors. I don't post her much, but she's put in a lot of work. And I think as a father, I think you're just glad, because there's work being put on this side, and there's a lot of jealousy out there, as far as
That's a common thing, because Nate sort of said the same thing.
yeah.
it's hard. It's hard as a player. You went through it, and you don't want to see like your your daughter or son go through that type of hurt, because it is out there, and it's still out there.
And
I
the
always
social
tell
media
'em,
too, it's like even
social
more.
media. So like my page, we have over 4,000 followers. Again, started from nothing, started growing, started having photographers, videographers show up. Our recent one is, of course, nationals, and that was kind of like the
That was a big one.
that
man.
was a big one for us. And then my tournament, like
Hosting
we're at
tournaments too, yep.
our fourth annual.
Which one? What is your tournament?
AzNewest.
AzNewest?
Yeah, invitational. So we're at our fourth year that we just.
It's at Winderock?
Yeah, that's in Winderock.
Okay.
Yeah, so we just finished that one up in the summer, and that kind of goes back to where fundraising kind of comes into play for all these tournaments, because we try not to hit a lot of reservation tournaments, just because a lot of bad habits are picked up. I feel as a coach,
Mhm.
because we go back to 2-3, and some of these players they're not developed yet. They're still processing. They're still learning how to dribble. They're still learning how to see the floor. They're still seeing, the opposite side, bounce pass. Just small things like that. Where we're at now is we want them to get exposed. We want college coaches to see them. So live events is going to be like the biggest. And all of this, I learned over time. Just kind of speaking with my good friend Ephraim, live events is where it's going to be for our girls. And, just kind of him reaching out to me saying that my girls are pretty much ready to play at the next level, which of course was, live events, which that's very, very competitive.
What
Um,
is for the viewers? What is live events?
Live events is when college coaches,
Uh-huh.
so you have, like, for instance, the Nike tournaments.
Mhm.
They just had one over the summer, Vegas.
Is it like nine NCAA approved or something like that?
Yeah,
One of
NCAA.
those.
Yep,
NCAA.
certified event. So
Okay.
you'll see a lot of coaches just
Uh-huh.
kind of sit in on,
Because I had heard that I think Nate Johnson said that the NABI tournament isn't a NCAA one.
no.
So I guess his criticism at the time was that NABI was originally supposed to be this showcase for native players for colleges, but it kind of never really turned out that way. And hardly any college coaches come to that tournament to watch.
Yeah, I think
And
just like
he said you
the
have to go to an NCAA.
yeah
certified one.
certified events. So they have a lot that happens around. You just got to look for them. I know the Texas one is a big one. Um, the one in Vegas, the Nike tournament, the one in Chicago. I know my good friend went there. But Texas, Chicago, Vegas, California, those are pretty much those where those live events happen.
Mm.
Ohio, they just had one over the summer as well. That was like a two weekend event. So pretty much there's all this a lot of good
Mm.
competitive girls. You have the Adidas circuit too as well. I think that's where we're kind of leaning towards next too, is kind of getting the girls into the Adidas circuit. And that's where you'll start getting to see, college coaches to
Mm.
see what they can provide. And when you go to these circuits, it's all man. It's there. You won't see any zones. You won't see. Um, you'll see, presses, but majority of it's man to man.
Man,
Mhm.
press.
Because a college coach is gonna let you see that you got to play man to man. Like, you got to stick with your man. You got to play defense and get me stops and give me the ball and
Mhm.
see what you can do with it once you get on the opposite side. So that's where a lot of questions were kind of asked, because I didn't really know that type of that circuit until I kind of reached out to Ephraim, because Ephraim is the one that kind of told me all about the live events and how it works and what you need to do. Which of course you have to get a license, certified license coaching to
Hmm.
actually go there, because you actually have to be a licensed coach to be at those live events, because they ask for your number. So that I had to go through the process. Got to go through a background check. So just the small tedious things to pretty much do and get a certified coach
Mm.
and take these girls, because you still got to register them through the NCAA. Oh, they got to confirm it. So it's a long process,
Mhm.
but all in all, it's a benefit. It's a plus for any native girl to step foot in the circuit, or to kind of witness one of these live events. It's a big thing. It's a big thing.
That's really impressive that you learned this process, because I think as native peoples, it's I guess we're not I guess as knowledgeable, because maybe I guess everything sort of at some point was new to everybody, right? Um, my example would be I had recently brought some property, and my parents, they bought and built their own house like 15 years ago. So I was thankful that my parents could help me through with the paperwork and how, and all the language through it, because they had gone through it already. So because they had already done that, it made the process a lot more easy for me. And there was someone there to explain, all these different things when it came to buying that. So for you going out and learning about the live events, it's like you're taking that knowledge and now you have the ability to at the very least let your players know or their parents know about these different types of events, and as well as the viewers too, because I'm sure there might be some people out
Yeah.
there that have
Yeah.
young boys or girls.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I kind of see and kind of wish, these coaches out there could kind of, because there's a lot of talent. Don't get me wrong. Like these kids they can play, but they got to find a coach that's willing to take them to these live events, because that's where it's at. And if that's your goal, to get your child to get seen, like you got to do more. You got to let their coach know that we got to start hitting these tournaments more. We got to hit and get more competitive play, because some of them can play n- no res tournaments. They can start playing with the big boys and Phoenix, just so they can get their toes wet and kind of run with them and see how it goes. And I think that's where we started, and kind of seeing where we're at as far as competitive wise, because Phoenix is the next step, and then from there you can start rolling. But majority of all the res teams, they go to Phoenix, and that's where Ephraim where he kind of invited me and told me to go, like, bring him down here. And so that's where we went a lot to, was pretty much Phoenix.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
Some in Albuquerque too.
yeah, Albuquerque. So just trying to get him off the reservation. And I mean, it's a win-win situation too for majority of these kids too, because some of them haven't left home. Some of them haven't seen different states. Some of them haven't
Yeah.
seen different places, and
Got on a
you're
plane.
kind of giving them the
Yeah.
opportunity too to see a different city, and kind of see the real world, because we talk about too life situations too, like with all these kids. They all come from different backgrounds. They all come from different families. Mom there, dad there, dad there, mom there, mom not there, dad there, but mom's not there, mom's there, but dad's not there. Grandparents raised them, and that's how I was raised, was my grandparents. And my mom was there, but she wasn't there. Kind of drinking and everything kind of took over, and that's kind of where I'm
Mm.
playing that role, to make sure that I'm always in my children's lives, to make sure that I'm giving them what we didn't have. And I think that as
Yeah.
any parent watching this, that's what they want for their children, is to kind of go better off things, and kind of get off the reservation, kind of get their toes wet. But that kind of helps too, and you start to see how different ethnicities are, different races. You see situation in Texas we went to last year, and this was, I think, a first for everyone, was seeing a coach not be happy with the call from a ref, and the ref gave him two T's, and the coach got mad, and he wanted to fight the ref.
Uh-huh.
And he told him, like, that's it, that's game. But the coach, ran over there and almost hit him. They almost fought, and the other coaches had to kind of hold him. And I think you were there, right, Matt?
It's California, isn't it?
No, it was
It's in
Texas.
Texas, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that was a first for pretty much everyone to see. For me to see, I only see it on TikTok. Like, oh shoot, this guy's, he's gonna go fight him, because he was upset. He was upset with a call, and he didn't like it, but he wasn't gonna leave too, and he was gonna quit, because once the ref, said game, I was already in the middle, ready to shake hands, like,
Uh-huh.
get my players out of here, because it's something they never saw, and I know they didn't see. And once that went down, like, he's like, no, we're gonna play. He's like, I'm gonna talk to this ref. Then I was like, oh, okay. So I just kind of watched him, and after that, he ran after the ref. But luckily, there's his group grabbed him, and from there we just we're out. We're like, peace, bye.
Uh-huh.
So we don't know what happened after that. So it was kind of a good eye opener for us.
Mm.
And when you go to Texas, like, everything is bigger in Texas. It's really aggressive, and I would recommend this to any team that's wanting to get better, and kind of understand that the aggressive play that they have, and it is aggressive.
Mhm.
They don't have over the backs, so
Mhm.
someone
Yeah,
can literally jump on
that's
your back, and a foul won't be.
that's a rule that a lot of people don't know about, huh? Especially like
Yeah, so it was
Uh-huh.
aggressive.
That's fairness.
A lot of hand checks they don't really call. So it's a little different. It was a little tough for us from the beginning, but my girls adjusted. The boys adjusted as well too, because we took
Mhm.
both teams down. But the second time when we went in this past summer, it was way aggressive, and I always told them, and I kind of utilized it for them when we played in these bigger tournaments down here too. Like Texas, that place they don't play. Like you guys were pushed, you guys were hand checked, you guys had over the backs, you guys were boxing out still. Like that was like the toughest play that I seen you guys play. And now over here, they're a little too soft. They're getting hurt over here, or they're saying that these girls are a little too aggressive. Like girls, like we've been through worse.
Yeah.
So I always kind of let them know that you guys been through a lot, and Texas they don't play, and that's what I would recommend to any res team to kind of take their boys to Texas.
Texas?
Yeah,
We're at in Texas, like Lubbock or Amarillo or
San Antonio.
San
Went to San
Antonio?
Antonio. I think that's the only place we've been to. Dallas.
Oh.
Yeah, we went with FFA. Went to Dallas. So
So it's okay to go to Texas as long as you don't come back as a Cowboys fan.
yeah, there you go. Let's not get started there. So I'm an Eagles fan. So yeah. But yeah, so I would recommend that to anyone. Just kind of take their kids and kind of see elsewhere, because there's a lot of competitiveness out there, and just by playing local too. I mean, I know the funds come into it, but then again, it just takes one coach, especially the dedicated one, to kind of take their needs and take a child, because that's kind of where we all been through, and we take kids to these tournaments, bunch them up in the ride. If we have 2 rides, we'll take 2 rides, and that's fine. We're gonna find a way to take you down, because we want you to play in these tournaments. Mom, I don't have any money. Did I ask you if you had money? Just let's go, pack up, let's go. We're staying there for the weekend. We'll be back Sunday. Those things. I think they don't really understand too. Is like we bend backwards for these kids, especially if they have potential. When we see a lot in them, like we're gonna go out our way to kind of get you the exposure you need, because to get out, you can play at the next level. You just got to believe in yourself. It takes a lot of work too, and I think any coach, again, can kind of emphasize and agree with me that it takes a lot. It takes a lot.
Mm-hmm. So, for the viewers that might just be listening to audio, go ahead and tell them the name of your team.
Oh yeah. So my traveling team is AzNewest. You can follow us on Instagram, AzNewest Basketball, and follow us. Yeah.
Okay, how long have you had that team?
4 years.
4 years.
4 years. Exactly 4 years. Yeah. Again, we started late. That's why I said it's amazing, just in that 4 years, to see where we're at. You can kind of, if you have Instagram, kind of look at it. Don't look at the very top. Just scroll to the bottom and work your way up, and you'll kind of see where things changed. And I'm not the person to brag. I'm not that type of person. I'm very humble to come to where I come from and my team, because I'm the face of of AzNewest, and I do have the boys and girls program, but these group of kids have come a long ways, and within that 4 years of just playing and grinding, it's been fun to see where they're at now, because we started from the blacktop. Got to know the ADs, had to fill out facility usage. They gave us, a gym, but it wasn't like a full court gym. It was just, elementary gym, small court, but it was a gym. Couldn't complain. It was free. But we started off blacktop, didn't care, and we just worked with these kids and just kind of got them the fundamentals they needed. And parents, like I said, parents played a big part to where we're at now. Like parents kind of filled that role for us too, as well, helping out, helping their children. And a lot of them now, they understand the grind. They understand what it's like to put in work. Because like I said, Kea, Sydney's little sister, she's the definition of dog. This girl grinds it 24/7. After her state championship win, she ate and she came to training. They had training that evening, and she came to training after winning state champion for Sandia.
Mhm.
She ate. She said she ate pizza. They celebrated. That was it. And then they had an evening session that same day, and she came. And if you go to these sessions, like you'll see her. She's just a dog.
Mhm.
She enjoys it. She understands it, and I think any parent and any person to see that, that's like, dang, she's on a good path. She's gonna be someone, and that's all you can do is praise what you see, and just kind of be in awe and just like, dang,
Mhm.
that's awesome. And we always, every coach is gonna kind of emphasize another person. Like that's what we tell them. Like that's the definition of putting in work. Like this girl's putting in work.
Uh-huh.
Like so we just keep telling them that, like, just keep working and you'll kind of see it. And that's where we saw a lot of changes because a lot of work was being put in, a lot of running was being put in. So it's just, yeah, it's cool to see. And I have those moments when I kind of look through my phone and kind of go back to when this all started and just kind of be amazed like how this all started, because this was just, I wasn't even supposed to be a coach, to be honest.
Uh-huh.
Like how this really started was my cousin Chris. He was like, "You got to coach kids," and this was during COVID. So we couldn't go anywhere. He's like, "You should be the coach. Like you should start a traveling team. Get a group of kids from our place. Let's start this." So I was like, I'm like, I was a former player. I'm like, nah, I can't be a coach. Like, that's tough, man. Like,
Mhm.
you got to teach these kids how to dribble. And I think the patience wasn't there for me at that time, but I'm very thankful for him because he kind of pushed me to do it. I didn't know how to stand there, seeing just kind of like, what should I do? I'm just standing here. What do I tell him? So you're just kind of like thrown into the mix.
Mm.
And then after our first, tournament, that's when that that
That feeling,
that feeling like,
yo.
damn, this is fun. Like
Mhm.
seeing them running up and down, just
Seeing their faces after the win.
faces, and I think we took third or second our first tournament, and that was cool. Just being a coach and just kind of seeing them. I mean, the score is only like what 6-4, but it was fun. And
Win's a
then
win.
after, and then it's like, damn, this is fun. So you started once that tournament happened that following week, we just grind. Like, let's meet after school. Let's go here. Let's go blacktop. Let's teach them small fundamentals, and we just kept having
Mhm.
practice. And that's kind of where it started. And then like, okay, what should we name it? And there was two names. It was either AZ Rookies or AzNewest.
Uh-huh. We're not gonna be rookies forever, right?
No. So how we chose newest is because we're newest.
Mm.
We're new. We're new to this tournament. What's going on here? This AAU team. We're new to everything. That's where the newest kind of came in.
You came up with that?
Yeah, I just came
Okay.
two names, threw it there. I said, which one sounds better? I said AZ newest, and that's when I told myself, I was like, yeah, we're new to
that
this.
was new to, like,
a
I
new
never heard that.
coach.
Like I heard rookies before, like in team
Yeah,
tournaments and stuff, but
so-
never. Yeah.
So I was like, we're new to this. I'm a new coach.
Mhm.
We have new players, so we're gonna roll with it. So we went with it and just kind of threw this to one of my guys, Scott. He designs logos, so he designed this logo for me. And it was mixed. It was just my originals are gonna be Chase Sag, Braden Martinez, Peyton Moore, Tiana Edison, and then Christopher Damon Jr. And then we had who did we have? Wyatt. He was from Tehachapi, Rias, and then Diarra, and there was two more. Can't remember. But those are the OGs. Those are the 8 we kind of rolled with.
Mhm.
And
That was like a co-ed team back then.
yeah, it was a co-ed
Okay.
team. So the girls played with the boys.
Uh-huh.
So that's when we started looking for tournaments. That's when
It's
we
usually how
started.
it starts off. It's like a
Yeah,
mixture
we
of
were
co-ed
trying
in
to.
the beginning, then
Yeah, like is it
it
okay
goes
if these
separate.
girls can play with the boys? We
Yeah.
kept asking every director. Yeah, it's totally fine. And we got our butts kicked. I always remember like every game we lost, we were getting blown out by like 30, 40. We're winning a couple of games here and there. And then we start to go to the bigger tournaments. We found one, Salsa Slam. I remember that clearly because that's when we first started our girls team. Found just four more girls to start it. And that's where we got Sunshine, Shandi Baya, Payton Moore, Tiana, Rhea, and then we got Cambry, and we got Morgan. So those six were our originals.
And they're all from Winderock too. All
All
those
from
girls,
Winderock.
all
All
from.
from Winderock. So those are the names that you're gonna be hearing from Winderock.
They're not. They're not from other
Other
communities. No
other
different
communities. All
agencies.
Winderock.
All from
Fort
Winderock.
Defiance.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
So I try to keep it within my community. That was kind of my goal. Kind of within my give back to my community. But I saw other players that have potential, that could have potential, and kind of grow with the game. And then Salsa Slam comes around, and we get blown out by this team, and it was like, damn, I think we got blown out by 40, 45 points. But it was a learning process for us, and it had to start somewhere. And any coach will reflect and kind of tell their story. But that's how my name came about.
Mhm.
So just kind of roll with it. And then once we got our girls team, we called it Lady AzNewest, and that's when our girls team took off. Just a lot of dedication, a lot of work, and just going back to parents. And I can't thank them enough. I always thank my parents after every tournament, after every game, just kind of thanking them for bringing their children. If I took some of them, I still thank their parents, like, because you're allowing them to play with me, and just kind of letting them know that I'm always going to be there for them. And ever since then, like we've been going on it since then. Every tournament, every year. That's when we put on my tournament. Started from our first annual. Now we're at our fourth, so we have it every year.
Where do you have it at?
In
In
the
Winderock?
summer, Winderock. Yeah.
Wow.
So we have the three gyms. We have the field house, the middle school, and then the high school.
Wow.
How many divisions do you have?
We had about, I think, the first year we only had like five divisions. Then it slowly grew to like 5, 6, and then from there, this past year, I just kind of wanted to keep it all just the youth, because usually I would throw men's in there, but this past year, I didn't do it, so I just kind of did it all the youth, and that's kind of what kind of helps pays for our fees, because some of these parents don't understand like the fees that once we play in these bigger tournaments,
Yeah.
they're around like $500.
Crazy, yeah.
It's $400 just for one team,
Mhm.
and if we take two teams, that's already $900 right there. And if I throw in a seventh grade boys or seventh grade girls, that's 1,800 right there, just gone, and that's a weekend of basketball. So, but it's worth it, and that's where I kind of want to. Where we're at now is that we want to play in those tournaments. We want to play in competitive tournaments to kind of get the girls better, to because they're at that point where they can compete now. And if they do play here, on the reservations, usually it's two grade levels up, or even in the high school division. Even though they're in middle school, while they're seventh, eighth grade, they're already playing in high school tournaments back home. So that's where we kind of challenge them to compete. And I think that any mom and parent on my squad is they want their child to compete, because we know they can compete. They're at that point where they can compete, and we just want them to compete every tournament they go to, regardless of size, regardless.
Yeah.
Just like what Mac was saying, like size doesn't matter. It's the dog in you that can kind of get you up the floor and kind of get you to play and compete. That's all we want for our kids, is to compete.
So before we started the podcast, you had mentioned you were a former player.
Yeah.
Where'd you play at?
So I played at Winderock.
Winderock?
High school.
What year?
2003 to 2007.
And 307. Okay.
3 to 7. So that's when we had like Winslow. We had Jordan Payne there. We never played a Holbrook. We always wanted to, but I think we never got it scheduled. Um, Yeah, we had a
said
tough.
Glenn Haven was your coach back then.
First year, freshman year, freshman year, he
He was
a
a coach for Hopi too, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Glen Haven. And then we had Comalty. He was out from Oklahoma. If I'm not wrong, I think he coaches for the high school football team now. I think I seen him because I went to a football game when they played Hopi, and I was like, hey, that guy looks familiar. We're in the ride, just sitting there because it was raining, and they had a rain delay, and I saw him walk by, and I said, hey, is that Comalty? My wife just looked at me like, who's Comalty? What are you talking about? I was like, oh, that's our coach, my sophomore and
Oh,
junior
he was
year.
a coach at Hopi.
No, he was a coach at Winderock.
Oh, Winderock.
Yeah, so I had Glen Haven my freshman year. Then we had Comalty my sophomore and junior year, and then we had Gil Kloschke for my senior year.
So you're on the team. They made like a mini documentary, right?
Yeah. It's on that.
Was that the? Was it six? That was when Ephraim Sloan was a senior.
We're both same grade.
What same grade? Okay.
Yeah, so we're both
seven.
same grade. So we're both yeah.
I remember following not every game, but 'cause this was back then when there was, I think maybe YouTube existed, but it was just like a small website at the time.
Yeah.
So the only way I ever heard Winderock game was when my aunt would broadcast them. My aunt's Ellie Williams.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Allie would always follow us. Yeah.
So that'd be the only time where I'd ever hear a Winderock game. And I remember following, listening to the games when you guys were playing back then. And I know you guys had high expectations, if I remember correctly, to win. Not to bring up the last one, but who did you guys lose to in the state playoffs?
I think it was either Seton Catholic or it was Fountain Hills. It was always the schools down in Phoenix. We'd always have a trouble with. But yeah, we were anticipated to win state that year or to compete for a state title, but things didn't fall. I think we lost Sweet 16. Yeah. So
I think I remember going to. I'm pretty sure you guys played Winslow that year or one of those years. So, Winderock fans, I noticed that they have their Winderock chant. Like I think they spell Winderock or something like that, or the scouts. Yeah.
Give me an S.
Yeah, that. So that's the first time I ever heard that, and I always think of that when Winderock comes to Holbrook or something.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem as rowdy anymore.
No, it's it's really mellow just because we have a bigger gym now. But my wife always brings up stories about our past. Like the field house, because sometimes we'll hold practices there at the field house where we're the Thunderdome, and then we would tell the kids like, your coach used to fill up this gym every game, and which it was, and kind of think about it, like just coaching on the bottom and seeing those bleachers on both sides, like dang, when you sit on them, oh my God, they're hard. So I don't know how people could sit there, since freshman game all the way until our game, which was at the very end.
It'd be like it was foggy in there or something.
Yeah, and
I remember that.
people would stand in line, 12 o'clock, just to get tickets, and you'll see that line go all the way around. And I know one year when we played Winslow, Winslow was number 1 in the state, and they were coming to us. That's when Mr. Glover, Charles Glover, was the coach there, and he was a good coach. Came to ours, and they were anticipated to win that game, but everyone wanted to be at that game. And I overheard, the tickets, people selling tickets outside for $100, $125 just for a ticket. And, it's a $5 ticket, but people wanted to get in, and, they had a capacity. Some of them had to sit, stand like where the, emergency exit. If there was an emergency, they're the first ones to get out, but, they would allow people to stand there just so that they can have more people. And the energy in that gym was just wild. Like, to come think about it now, like that we packed it, and it was fun. It was cool, to kind of talk about it with my kids and kind of let them know. And, I try not to be that type of coach and kind of, tell them about my past.
I like that.
But when it's brought up, that's true. I mean, it was fun times. It's good times. But let's not dwell on my past, and let's not talk about what ifs, but always tell them that what ifs will creep up. And I think any previous basketball player can kind of relate and kind of talk about it like, dang, it's true, really is. And that's where I think a lot of health issues kind of come into play too, is, that it kind of dawns on you because you're just the star for your hometown, and a lot of kids come up to you for autographs every game, pictures. Grandmas, grandpas shaking your hands. You have fans shaking your hands. You don't even know,
Mhm.
and it's just that popularity that you get, and it comes with a price once you leave high school,
Mhm.
and you don't happen to, they forget about you because there's another star coming up. There's another group of kids that are going to fill those shoes, and I think that's where a lot of people kind of have a hard time adjusting to that.
Mhm.
You're replaceable, but they just got to understand that this is what we wanted for you. You got to play at the next level. That's what any fan would want to say, is that we're glad you're playing at the next level. Keep going, get your education though, because that's one thing we stress too. Is my program is education first. You're a student before an athlete. Get those good grades, because once basketball is over, and if it's over, you can reflect back on your degree, and we want you to have good jobs and cars, and we want your kids to travel well. We want your kids to do all these things, and
Yeah.
the price of living is just
Mhm.
increasing. So you kind of implement that into basketball, and it's not always all about basketball. It's life lessons along the way, and every parent will kind of let their child know this is what happened back then. We've been there, done that. That's why we're talking about it. Don't think of it as we're just bringing up our past just to talk to you about it. But we've been there, done that. So we don't want you
Mhm.
to fill our shoes. We want you to be better and kind of go on and just kind of be a good human being along the way, and just be that person.
Mhm.
And it builds character too, man. Like basketball,
Yeah.
this whole circuit thing, and
That
them
builds
being
character.
together and everything. Yeah, like the whole companionship with
Yeah.
friends and family and all that. Yeah, it does.
So it's fun. Yeah. It's
Do you think I guess the golden age of reservation basketball is sort of past now, because everyone talks about what it was like in the 90s and the 2000s as far as fan attendance. But now it's, if you go around, it doesn't really seem as popular anymore. I mean, there's people still go and people still talk about it, but people aren't waiting in lines really anymore to watch these games. And maybe the online social media part of it, like, because I know that is it Northern Arizona basketball, that channel on YouTube? I know they broadcast the games
yeah.
on the internet as well now, so it's become more accessible to see it online rather than to actually go to the venue now.
Yeah. I think that's where my grandpa always said, technology is growing. And, back in the day, they're like, why are you always on your phone? Why are you always doing this? And it is evolving. I mean, it's convenient for me, when I want to watch a game, especially like Holbrook, just games that are going on. I always want to watch something, like I don't have DirecTV no more. Like I would rather watch a high school game or a middle school game than an actual,
Mhm.
NBA game. That's just me. Um, but yeah, it is involving, and a lot of ways of getting recognized now has changed. Especially back in our days, it was harder. It was really hard for us to get any type of exposure, and we're just relying on Nabi, because Nabi, when it first popped off, it was Nike. It was Nike. Now they want to be their own. You know, they want the profits.
Uh-huh.
They want to keep everything under Nabi, not getting sponsored by Nike, and Nike taking majority of it. I think that's how it works, but
Uh-huh.
could be wrong. But that's just the way I see it. So I know they're kind of venturing off, Nike. That's why you don't really hardly see any Nike, because when we first played it the first year, Nike balls, you had to have Nike shoes. The jerseys were Nike. The shortcuts were Nike. You had to have Nike socks. So everything was all sponsored by Nike when the
Huh.
first year, second year, third year, and I don't know when it veered off. Where they wanted to start.
What was the
Maybe
first
to
year they
get more
had? It was
money.
like 2003.
Yeah, 2003, 2002, I think it was the
Two.
first year, because I think I was an eighth grader,
Huh.
eighth grade going into freshman. So I think it was 2003. Yeah, 2003.
Yeah.
That's when American West Arena
Uh-huh.
was still in existence. That's where they had it. Even like the first, I think like the first round, they even had it at the American West
Wow.
Arena.
Oh, all the games were
Yeah,
there.
like all the
Damn.
games, and I remember playing there, and that was kind of like every child's goal was to get to America West Arena,
Huh.
and I happened to get there. I think it was my third year.
Who
Third
you
year.
playing with then?
Four Corners. That was with my cousins Kenny Begay and Kenny Begay. Their dad put in a team just because they wanted to play. So I was like, go with them. I think we just got back from Indigenous Games in Denver. Yeah, Denver. We had that Olympic. I forgot what it was called, but
The Junior Olympics.
yeah, something like that. Where like Team Arizona, Team New Mexico,
Is that Colorado
different
Springs?
states. No, it was in Denver.
Denver.
So we actually stayed at the actual Colorado State dorms. And
Oh,
all
really?
that, and we
Okay.
played, and then that following week was Nabby. So we had to drive the bus all the way back home. I got home, and then next morning they called me like, "Do you want to go to play Nabby?" And I was like, "All right." So I remember my grandparents driving me all the way to Sanders just to meet them and kind of just waking up, and I was
Then
off
you
to
go off
another state.
again. Yeah.
But yeah, that's it's evolving, and technology is evolving, and it's very different now, especially with the type of gyms we have. I know Winderock basketball changed a lot ever since we got our gym.
Yeah.
It's harder to pack it. I think the only time we kind of get it packed is during
Tournaments.
tournaments, and
Uh-huh.
that's 3A North.
Yeah.
I think I seen that this past year, so yeah, it's a lot different.
Hmm. Noticed that like when going to some of these circuits, these Nike circuits and some of these tournaments out there, I know there's a big difference between like girls and boys, boys and girls, I guess clubs and all that. But how do you say like our Native American girls compete compared against to some of them? Because like size wise, like girls are like a lot, a lot smaller. Like they're more comparison or more comparable to other sizes of the other girls, I guess.
Yeah.
You see like you see our girls getting pretty far and stuff like that.
I think, and it just goes back to preparation, pretty
Mhm.
much how you're preparing your game. Majority of all of our girls, they're all built, point guards.
Yeah.
Majority of us are point guards. Some of
Mhm.
us are, centers. Some of us are power forwards. Not much are centers and power forwards, but once they get to the bigger schools, they're considered either a 3 guard or 2 guard or
Yeah.
1 guard. So it's a little different, but competing wise, I know the boys or girls, they can compete.
Mm.
They just gotta build their craft and kind of get themselves ready, and weights. I think the weight
Yeah,
room's gonna be the biggest,
Sure.
especially for our boys. It's a little harder. We have more competitive boys out there, bigger, stronger, faster boys. So it's a little harder. So we kind of almost have to work a little harder, developing our game,
Yeah.
hitting the weight room pretty much. And I think that's one thing that we're kind of. I know some schools they make it accessible for their athletes,
Mhm.
but some of them don't take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
They rather sleep in. They rather play their video game instead, which is fine. But if you really want to play at the next level, you're gonna find a way to get there. You're gonna find a way to work out. You're gonna find a way to put in work for the day. Because again, and how I always emphasize it is that someone's gonna be working harder than you, and you're either gonna be wanting to compete, or you're just gonna be that average kid that just gonna be living with what ifs, and that's the hard part. It really is.
Mhm.
It really is because Windrock they had it accessible. They really do. They really have accessible the weight room for the kids. The kids just got to make the time to put in the work. Gyms got to be a little bit more accessible for programs back home. I know that's one thing and one goal for each coach there at the high school level and the middle school level. They want more of the kids to start participating and start developing. So I know that's one of the Windrock's goals is to kind of have more gym usage for everyone. That's what I've been seeing and that's what I've been kind of hearing for them.
Do you plan to coach again this year again for middle school?
Middle school, I'm actually taking a different route.
Yeah.
Yeah. actually accepted assistant coach position for the high school.
Oh yeah. Wow.
So I'll be
Congratulations,
transferring.
man.
Yeah, thank
That's
you.
cool.
So I'll be transferring over to the high school girls.
You're working with Ashley and
Yeah,
Mitchell, right?
that's the boys. I'll
Oh,
be on the
he's-
girls'
oh, yeah,
side.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I'll be
Miss Whitney. Okay.
Gabby. Yep,
Yeah, yeah.
Gavelyn Whitney, and I'll be on their coaching staff this
Wow.
year.
That's nice.
So a change of scenery.
Uh-huh.
It was a tough one. Really was.
Hey, we seen all coming, right? We knew.
Yeah.
I kind of figured that was probably like the next step, man.
It was tough, but opportunities arise, and
Yeah.
you gotta take them when it's presented.
Yep.
And it was a long talk with my wife, and kind of seeing where we wanted our girls to kind of go and kind of get the coaching they need. And
Mm-hmm.
again, I started this 4 years ago, and this has been our end goal.
Yeah.
And this has been a reminder for all of them as to why we put in a lot of hours and why we did all this. But again, it's what it's lead to, and again, for the boys program, it's the same.
Yeah.
Always has, always will, and I'm always thankful for Coach Rick Destia,
Yeah.
for helping the boys take him under the wing, because it is really hard.
Yep.
It really is hard to coach multiple teams, especially at these tournaments that you go to, and you wish you could be to have two bodies and be at two different gyms at the same time, but sometimes it don't work out that way. But I'm very fortunate that one of my players on the boys side, Rick, was able to kind of assist with that, with kind of leading them in the right direction, kind of seeing his output and his coaching experience.
And they have a high school team too, huh? Like
high school team. Yep.
Yeah,
He has
Northern Elite.
Northern Elite. He has his own squad, so he kind of
he's been in there for a
me.
while too, huh?
Yeah, he's been in the game for a while. So I'm very.
Did he work with Winderock before? Like
a while back, yeah. I believe when his son was playing, he kind of assisted as well.
Okay.
Kind of on the boys program. I forgot who was the head coach at that time. Forgot his name. He was a coach or teacher there. But
Not
he
Jimmy
was
Skeet.
not Jimmy Skeet. I don't think so. It was the other guy, Mr. Harper. There we
Harper.
go. Yeah, Mr. Harper. He was the teacher there, and at that time, nobody wanted to take the boys' position.
Oh yeah.
Because again, it comes with politics, and
Mhm.
it comes with criticism. And
Yeah.
I think that's what any coach is going to go through on the reservation is that scrutiny of being a head coach on the reservation. It's hard. It's tough.
Huh.
So I give kudos to any coach that takes a head coach position
Yeah.
to kind of teach these kids to be better at the game and kind of develop them along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so the boys program again is there, and I look forward to it, because they put again countless hours. They've been with me since 4 years ago. We added a couple of players, and just kind of seeing where this team comes from, and the majority of my AzNewest boys, they're all from Winderock.
That's cool.
So they're all freshmen.
Uh-huh.
So looking to see where they go
Yeah.
and how far they can go, because they do have a good coach under their wing, Coach Ashley, Miss Ashley Mitchell. I think she can do a lot of things great for that program.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to it, and just kind of seeing how the boys develop on that end.
Yep.
Anyways, yeah, that's a really great story. Really great things you're pointing out. Forgive me if I sound ignorant, because I don't really know a whole lot about summer basketball or anything like that. It's interesting you mentioned the politics too. I hear here in Holbrook alone, I hear different things in the community. Not only from, because I golf with some of the coaches, as well as and I got to meet a lot of the fans too, that really follow it, and I kind of hear the community's sort of criticisms of the current whatever coach it is, or scrutinizing whatever decisions they make. what's interesting too here is one of the interesting criticisms I heard about Holbrook School District was that one of the community members said that they felt that the school district puts too much emphasis on education rather than on sports, basketball specifically.
Wow.
So is what I guess what are your thoughts? Is it are there people that feel that way like in Winderock, for example? Because I'm not from there, but is that there are people that kind of have you met people that kind of have that same feeling about it?
Some might say, but me personally, I I try to stay away from it. When people talk, it kind of goes one ear and out the other. I try to be civil as possible and kind of just stay in my own lane, but just kind of where I emphasize politics, it's there. It's it's not new to the game. It's always been there since I was in high school. It plays a big part. Parents too as well. They can run out a coach just on small things, and I seen it. I seen it happen, and it's tough. It's really tough because, like I said, Glenn Haven should have been our coach for the 4 years, and I wish he was because he did have high expectations for his program, getting us a little bit more um, seen as far as scouting
Mm-hmm.
because he's the only one that took us to team camps, and he knew what team camps were were going to take us, and he would always take us to those team camps. So he dedicated his summers to helping us get to those team camps. We went to U of A, we went to NAU, we went to UNLV, and I didn't know what those were. Like, to be honest, like in high school, freshman year, sophomore year, I didn't even know what this was all about. Like, why are you guys doing this? But it was good to see different, again, city, state, to be living in dorm,
Mm-hmm.
seeing how it is, and he showed us how to live dorm life, which I never got the opportunity to do so,
Mm-hmm.
dorm life. But just kind of looking back at it, in my 30s now, like, dang, he was a good coach. He had a good shoulder on him to get us get us seen, or at least get us seen. But
Yeah.
going back to my other two coaches, they didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So our summers were pretty much just with our other traveling teams. I kind of went with Ephraim's dad, Wolfpack. Kind of stood with them, and his dad kind of made us go to these tournaments and played in these tournaments. And again, he was a good coach. He was a good coach for taking us to these tournaments and kind of get us an exposure and whatnot. So he had a good shoulder on him too as well.
I remember hearing about like a lot of one of my uncles used to coach for Ganado too at one time, and they went to a lot of like you said camps. Like it seems like a lot of high schools don't do that no more nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, you'll hardly see it now, but I know like some of the programs they go now,
Oh yeah,
so it's cool to see. Just again, I give kudos to head coaches. It's a hard coaching position to do, especially if you're from the community that you played for. It's tough sometimes. It can kind of weigh on you, and there's a lot of people riding on you to turn around this program, and they want to see their seats fill up. They want to see more fans.
Yeah.
They want you to see. They want you to win a state championship, and that's kind of like the hardest part for any program out there is the chemistry and building it and
Yeah.
finding ways to get over that hill if there's a problem within the program. I think that's the tough part is getting over that hill when there's a problem. When parents get involved, or students are mad at each other, they dislike each other, or there's just small things like that.
Uh-huh.
It's tough. I haven't always thought about it. Like, dang, what if I'm put in that situation? What should I do? 'Cause
Yeah.
it's going to be a little different.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, I'm going to from middle school to high school, so my coaching is going to be a little bit different. As far as talking to these girls, so it's going to be a little different. So I'm going
Mhm.
to see that firsthand. But I'm kind of excited for this new opportunity as well, just to kind of see what we can do for our program too. So
Mhm.
again, this has been our end goal, and we're excited because it's actually here for three of our girls, and it's just kind of waiting for the other ones to come from middle school, so they should make some noise this coming season, middle school girls. So we're kind of just waiting for them to kind of get over to.
Yeah, we've been telling people like, hey, Winderock's coming up next 4 years, man. It's be exciting.
That's the plan. That's the plan, and that's where we've been. And like for the boys' side too, like I was telling Mac, we have 4 already that are in high school. So we're hoping they can make some noise too, and kind of get the right coaching they need with Coach Ashley. That's what we're kind of talking about as well. So
we talked about earlier, the game evolving. Mac and I talked about this a couple days ago. The idea of branding and how NIL has changed, name, image, and likeness has changed the college level. And I was telling him that I've noticed that there are high school students now, at big time high school students that are, starting early, and they're starting to build their brand in high school. Putting things out on social media, attaching themselves to some kind of merchandise or something like that. How do you see, these younger players now out on the reservation from the northern area taking advantage of that?
That's awesome. I'm all for it. Again, the game has changed a lot. Just going back to media, it's there now. Like you can have a videographer at your game now, and they can get good clips of you, and that's just takes one good coach to see that clip, and especially if a lot of followers, like it's going to get out there, and people will share, reshare. It's a little easier now as far as the recruiting process. It's a lot easier for these kids, and that's what I always tell them. Like, dang, you guys got it easy, man. It was hard for us to even get that type of recognition. It was just a hearsay for us.
Now Times is about it.
Now Times, yeah, Now Times, and we're thankful for Now Times because we always see our faces in the front newspaper. Sports, Winderock advances to Final Four. Winslow advances next title. So we're very thankful, but that there should kind of speak volume for any athlete, like especially any native athlete. Like it's cool. Like Sydney Benali's an ambassador for NABI now. Like she has her name there, and all these other NBA players that are kind of building their brands. It's cool. Yeah. It's finally here to kind of get paid if they do get paid. Things they need to share, things they're getting. It's cool. It's one step closer to kind of building the foundation for them, and I'm pretty sure they're all for it too, because all I gotta do is just kind of, and I think that's the hard part for some of them too. Like they gotta, how would you say it? They gotta be careful what they do now, because what they post. A lot of kids see, and if they see them smoking or if they see them doing vape, it's you're a role model now. So you gotta kind of live up to that and kind of be that person to kind of go to as far as these kids looking up to you, because if you're getting paid a lot, like act reasonable, act presentable, because I'm pretty sure your mom or dad don't want you posting anything on social media that's gonna hurt you or make you look bad. But then again, we can't speak for what they post too, so it's just like, dang, when we see things like that, when I see things like that on social media, I was like, dang. It's kind of sucks, but
yeah, that line of amateurism and professional, has slowly been coming down, right? For a long time, college athletics was an amateur sport, right? And then because they had changed the name, they had implemented the name, image, and likeness, right? That line has gone down even further, and now you're starting to, like I said, you're starting to see high school players starting to build their brand, and it's changing, and I think today's high school or junior high athlete, that I think if they have the potential to go to a big time school or even a reasonably sized school at the next level, right, they're going to be carrying that brand with them. And it's good to start having them think about, what is their brand going to be and how am I going to promote myself? Because when I get to the next level, I have the opportunity to get myself, additional, compensation as far beyond just what I'm doing for the college, right? and that's another doorway. And then I guess there's always pioneers. So I guess for for native players, I'm not really too sure who. I'm sure there are some native players out there, maybe not necessarily from here, maybe from the South Dakota, North Dakota, or somewhere, right? That has some kind of presence, but that's just like the next step. And you had mentioned not posting things and stuff like that. It's good to think, if I'm going to make this thing, if I'm going to go all the way with this sport, I need to start thinking about my brand and how my image and likeness is going to be portrayed out there on the internet, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's you kind of pretty much covered it there. You explained it all, and I think it just goes back to how they're raised too. Their family, and that's kind of one thing I kind of implement too to them. It's like you're representing yourself, like you're also representing your parents too, just the way you present yourself, on the court. Don't be that type of person that, like I was saying from the beginning, don't pout your head, don't put your head down. Don't say You can say bad words here and there, but don't make it a habit to where you're saying it every game. But
Yeah.
I know we get frustrated with one another. But me, I wish I always tell my daughter, like, I wish I could take a lot of things from what I did as far as high school. I had a lot of anger issues, and that's probably one of the things I would take back if I could rewind. I always tell her, because when she kind of gets mad at herself that she had a bad game, or she missed a lot of shots, I always kind of implement her, and then I think those ride homes, those talks, kind of help to why we're all doing this. Kind of reassure her why we're doing this and
Mhm.
why we're putting a lot of time and effort into this, because I always tell her, like when she's down on herself or when she has an attitude, like it's not very often she has an attitude the way I'm sounding it, but when she has that one bad day, like always tell her, like, damn, Bev, like we could almost, like, we could own our house right now. The amount of money that we put into this and the amount of money that each parent puts into it, because this ain't cheap.
Yeah.
This is very expensive. The traveling, especially if you take your family, even your sister, you got to pay for your son, just for four like us. It's a lot. It's a lot of gas, especially if you have a truck, if you have a diesel, if you're taking that, if you're renting, if you're flying, if you're staying at nice hotels. That will add up pretty fast. And you got to think about food, breakfast, think about lunch, you got to think about dinner, especially with these kids, they're very bougie, they want to eat at, Benihana, they want to eat
All the Dutch brothers in
all in
between.
between, and
Starbucks.
it's expensive. Like these 4 years, I always tell her, like, dang, we put a lot into this, and I think that's where a lot of parents kind of let them know that you're very fortunate to be where you're at, because we didn't have this growing up. We didn't have my mom or my dad to take me to these tournaments. We would always go to coach. I can't take him here. Take my son if you want him to play.
Yeah.
It was those types. So that's where I get the I if you don't have a ride, I'm gonna take you, because I want you to play. I want you to experience this tournament, and especially if it's a big tournament. Like, I'm gonna take you regardless. Like, if your parents can't take you, I'm taking you. We're gonna find a way. If I have 5, 6 kids with me, we're gonna find a way, and we're gonna all stick in one room. Or if we have enough, we'll get another room. We'll have 2 rooms, but we're gonna find a way. And that's kind of what I told myself, that to these kids, that I'm gonna find a way. If I can't find a way, I'm gonna find a way somehow. Somehow, some way, I'm gonna get this kid to this tournament. I'm gonna ask. And parents, you have those late ones that kind of respond late, the day of a tournament or the day we're leaving. They're like, "Oh, we don't have any money." Like, did I ask you if I had any money? Did I ask you for any gas money? Did I ask you for any food money? Did I ask you for any hotel money? I just asked if this child is available on this weekend. You said yes. So okay. That's all I wanted you to that's all the answers I needed. I didn't even ask if you had any money. I didn't even ask anything. And some of them would be very, quiet if they do go, or we eat at this, Subway, or if we eat at Panda, or if they don't have enough. You'll see them like, dang, I don't have
Yeah.
money. Like, I'm just gonna get a chip, or get a 6 inch. Like, we seen you eat. You can eat a whole foot long, and you can eat. And these kids can eat, and like we don't mind. Like we're gonna pay. We're gonna pay for your food, and that's where a lot of people, when they see that I run these tournaments, like they think, oh, he's just doing it for himself or he's doing it for him. No, like asked me this too when we first started. I helped these kids. Like I paid for pretty much the entry fees, and that's how I always wanted. That's always how I always wanted, and that's how my coach back in the day. He's like he paid for the tournaments. He didn't ask any money from me. My mom could barely, maybe give me $20, $30, but you're going to coach, and coach
Yeah.
didn't ask, my mom for hotel pitch-ins, gas money. He did the same thing that I'm doing, so it's kind of like almost pay it forward. And I understand where these kids are coming from, and my wife would be always be like, "Dang, why do you do these for these kids?" Because I came, I know
Yeah.
where they're coming from.
Yep.
Because it's tough, but then again, when you see the potential in them, you want to help any way you can. Because at the end of it, if it does work out, it'll sit well with me, in my heart that I did everything in my power to help this kid, get better, to play in these tournaments. He's making a name for himself, so now all he has to do is present himself in a way that his coach or his mom helped him grow up. And along the ways, I'll give them, those type of talks, if they need it or if they have a bad game.
Mhm.
And this past summer, we had some girls be away from home for more than 4 days, and they got homesick. They missed their mom, or mom couldn't come to these tournaments because just going back, it's expensive, especially if you're playing every weekend. Out of the 4 weeks in a month, like it can get tiring, and it can miss home, and you will get tired of fast food. You will get tired of all that. You just want a home cooked meal, but you're on the go, and that's how the summers are built. And that's where the grind comes in. Like you got to hit the weight room. You got to work out on individual workouts. You got to hit these tournaments that are live periods. You got to hit these good tournaments. And that's what we want. That's for my program. I want that for my program, is to hit all these good tournaments and play and compete. And that's all I ask from these, group of kids is
Yeah.
to compete. And we know you can compete. You just got to bring it. You got to bring your A game every time. And that's where I feel, going into this next step, the Adidas circuit, it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard, but willing to almost start over in a way, because I already know it's going to be competitive. I already know there's a lot of group of girls that can push, that are built different.
Yeah.
It's going to be a different ball game for these girls, but they're going to see what it takes to play at that level. They're going to see that, dang, this is hard. I want to see that face expression. Like, damn, we're the SAT back home, but we're nothing here. We suck here. We're we need a lot of work. And that's one thing I want them to do, is just to take that accountability and be accountable of your actions. And that's, again, it's just going back to life situations.
Yeah.
This is what I talk to them about, like especially in huddles after a bad game or after a bad loss, or they had a good tournament, but I still remind them to be humble, to be thankful, because a lot of these kids do not have the opportunity that you girls get every weekend,
Yeah.
every summer. Some of them don't have money. Parents can't afford it. It's a lot, especially all the traveling they did and all the work they're putting in. Like, let's not let it go to waste, because once we let it go to waste, then it's kind of like thinking back to the parents, like, damn, why did I do this? I could have a nice home,
Yeah.
a nice RV. I could be, traveling the world. And that's always tell my daughter that me and your mom, we could be traveling. We could be traveling with this type of money that we're spending on you, but we're doing it because we love you. We're doing it because we care about you. We're doing it because we want better for you. We're doing it. And again, like I said, any parent can say this in the travel of basketball. They can relate, they can understand why they're doing it, and why these coaches are here. Like Mac has his own traveling team. just like what you're saying, Nate has his own traveling team. Um, and those are the types that we kind of look up to, and that's how I started off. Like I didn't even know anybody like in the circuit, like the native circuit is what we kind of call it. But I didn't know them. Met Mac just one day and just kind of made buds, and his daughter plays with my team, and she kind of built from there, and she's been a different player since, and
Hmm.
ever since we got her, like she's kind of been a different person. So we added to the roster, and she traveled this past summer last year. So she kind of got a lot of involvement, and she's one
Hmm.
of the seventh graders, and but she's going to Holbrook, trying to convince them to go to Winderock. But yeah, so it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot. It's a lot of effort, time, money, and then just a lot of losses. This is what it's going to take if you're
Uh-huh.
wanting to kind of start your own, traveling team. But if you stick to it and you see that it's fun and you see the development in
You
each
start seeing the
child,
payoffs, man.
you'll see it big time payoff.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm very humble, and I'm just always thankful that I did it, because I wasn't gonna do it. I really wasn't gonna do it. But 4 years now, yeah, I always look back and I'm very, very humble, and I send pictures to their parents like, "Damn,
Yeah.
this is how they
Mm.
look now."
Where we came from. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very humbling to see how far we come, and I'm always just thankful.
We were talking the other night too about how girls. Will asked me the other day, like, how many, like, you see with the boys that played in Abbey and all that. What kind of boys are going to next level, like scholarship wise and all this? Not really much, I said, but
It's-
girls,
Yeah,
girls is a lot more. And I think with the girls, like you said, your team and coaching, y'all got a lot of potential, man. You got a lot of, like, playing in these circuits and all that. They got a made, man. They got a good chance of making it to the next level, man. Girls, I say for that native girls, I think they got a better chance, maybe by 50% more than a boy would. I think.
like honestly, like these next group of girls that you're probably gonna hear um during this season, you're gonna know that some of them did play with a lot of coaches during the summer, and they can play at the next level. Like all of them can, they really can, but they just really got to put in the work. They really do. They got to put in, the amount of hours. If your screen time is higher than what you're putting in work wise, then it should kind of tell you. I always tell my kids that too. Like if that screen time is higher than what you're putting in work, then you should already like, dang, I'm glued to my phone more than
Hmm.
putting in work. So that's where parents put screen time on. I have screen time on my daughters. My wife does actually. She does it. So screen time, I think she only has like 2 hours throughout the day, but she's putting in more work. It's kind of what I'm kind of getting to, is that she's putting more work than actually being on her phone.
Hmm.
And the thing about it too is she don't have social media. My two girls, or quite a few players on my roster, they don't have social media. Um, might get into it later, but for now,
That's good.
we're trying to
Love
keep them
that.
humble
Uh-huh.
where they're at. Because once you see yourself, posted multiple times, or you're getting clips, or you're getting highlights, sometimes it can get to you. You can get big headed, and that's where I always tell myself like, "Dang, I wish I could go back," because I think I had a big head, and like I'm this bad dude in high school, shoot majority of the threes, all these fans talking to me, and I just needed to be level headed and just kind of be humble. So, but as age and time goes on, you get the
Mm.
understanding of being humble. You understand a lot more than what you were as a teenage boy. You understand why your parents were saying that. You
Mhm.
understand why they were telling you the do's and don'ts. You understand now. So that's where I always
Yeah.
emphasize to my kids that this is what was said, and it's true,
Yeah.
because they've been through it and I've been through it, and I don't want you to go down that way. I want you to go a different path and create your own path, but also be successful in life. And I want you to come back and say thanks, coach. Thanks for taking me under your wing. Thank you for for providing a ride. Thank you for taking me here. Thank you for pushing school on me, because obviously I didn't make it to the next level, but shoot, I'm about to graduate. Be an engineer. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a nurse. That I'll live with, because they're getting a degree. That's the education. And my grandparents would always say that that certificate can't be taken from you. That piece of paper that you get at the end when you graduate, bachelor's and master's, that piece of paper can't be taken from you. So sky's the limit for you.
Yeah.
Well, that's well said. I want to thank you for coming onto the podcast, and we certainly want to have you back later on in the year.
Yeah.
Give us some updates.
Yep.
It was a great conversation we had with you today, and I certainly learned a lot more about the summer basketball circuit and the club ball circuit. I say,
Yeah.
it's probably a better way to say it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Do you have any social media or anything you want to put out?
Yeah. So again, Instagram, AzNewest basketball. You can follow us. Pretty much post everything on there. Everything I can, from tournaments to schedules to tryouts, and that's kind of my next big step. Is kind of starting off with the littles again, because this set of group that I have, they're in high school. I haven't coached high school yet. It was always, middle school. That's where I had the fun time, and now they're going to be in high school, so it's going to be a different, step I'm taking from middle school to high school, different ball game. So I kind of want to restart, because these kids only got 4 more years. I want to have something to kind of reflect on, and kind of have my brand continue to grow.
Yeah.
Along the way.
Got a little boy too.
Yeah, I got my little boy, my little son. He's 5 years old, so going to be restarting. But I want to start more of the 10-year-olds, 8-year-olds, kind of start from there and kind of build them up, and kind of understand what it takes to be AzNewest, because a lot of people want to be part of my program, but I try not to be that person that kind of picks and choose, because I know Nate reflected back then, it's easy to pick and choose the good players.
Yep.
But it's harder to build, players, and that
community base, and
and that's where I'm at as far as my program. I want the scraps, not to be mean or anything, but I want the ones that are gonna develop from beginning to end. And these group of girls and group of boys that I had 4 years ago, that's where we started. And that's kind of where I want to go back to, and kind of retake another step towards building another program, and hopefully a Winderock program, because that's where I'm from. And I always tell myself, always want to get back to my community. So be on the lookout for tryouts. Hopefully I can get gyms back home. I'll have all the details on my social media. But yeah, follow up and go from there.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. And thank you for tuning in, and please like and subscribe.
Thank you.